This video is to help you get started on the first project in virtual environments. Normally I would do this demo during class, but because of the weather, we weren't able to hold class. So this should help you get started. If you're unfamiliar with Probuilder or if it's been a while, I do recommend that you look at the tutorial videos I posted for this week before starting the project so you can be more familiar with it and be comfortable working on this. So don't ignore the version I'm using. I believe it's probably not the same one we're using in class. I can't quite remember. I'm not working on my usual teaching computer. I'm on my personal dev computer. So I don't quite have that version installed, but it's all the same. That doesn't matter for what I'm going to show you. So for our project, we need to create a room that has 4 corners that demonstrate different composition and color theory. So I'm going to step you through setting up the corners and with the Probuilder, as well as having some very basic colors on here to kind of get you started. I did just grab a random project I have, so I do have some folders in here already, but you should make sure that you are working in folders. Specifically, you should make a folder for all your materials. You can kind of ignore those. I'm not going to use those, but make sure you have that. You probably also want a scenes folder so that the first thing you do is do a save as in your scene, save it into the scenes folder, and save out your scene. So let's begin. The first thing I'm going to do is block in this room. I'm going to start with a new shape. That is a cube, and I'm just going to, we could type the size in. That might be helpful. I'm going to start with a 10 unit by 3 unit by 10, and just kind of get a feel to see if this feels correct. So I'm going to click and add it. Oops, sorry. Shift click to add it. Where did it go? There it is. There we go. It did put it in a weird spot, so I do want to make sure I move this to the origin. It's always a good idea to make sure you're working in your scene around that origin point. Things do work better. It's easier to place things nicely. It's easier to make sure things don't get lost. And we have our first box. We are doing an interior space, so it's kind of worthless to have the box be flipped this way. So I'm going to go to my face select all my faces. And I'm going to come over and flip them. So flip, where is that one? Flip face normals, so that it'll flip them inside out. And I build this interior space. So let me rename this one to room, just so I know that that's what this is. And before I go any farther, I do want to make sure that I'm working on my grid. So previous classes, you might have been taught to install ProGrids. We don't really need to do that anymore. Unity has finally updated their engine grid system to work well enough. Like it works perfectly fine. I have it on right here. I think it's usually on by default now, but right here at the top, that's what these buttons are. So we can go ahead and, choose where our grid is. We could raise the opacity of that grid. I'm going to click it on and we can see it. We can change the increment snapping of this grid. So, okay, so let's see. We have it on the y-axis. We're going to turn on snap with this. And we can turn on our grid snapping size. So when we're doing our quick block-ins, grid snap at 1 unit, which is 1 meter, is perfectly fine. We want to work coarse to refined. So we want to get our basic shapes in at this size, and then we can start reducing it down. Increment snapping is fine too. I might raise this up to 1 meter though, since we are still working at that size, but we're going to stay with that for now. Okay. We have our room. It's really hard to judge the size of this right now though. So I do always usually, if I don't have like a prefab person, I will come in and make a prefab person. So if we make a cube that's like a 0.5, 1.75, 0.5 cube, this is roughly the height of a person. I'm going to rename this person. So it will allow us to better judge our size. So, does this feel like a correct height of a ceiling? Yeah, this will be fine. How about the length and width of the room? This will probably work out well as well. You could probably make it a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. That wouldn't be like the end of the world. Like if we wanted to push this out to maybe 12 by 12, since we have that grid snapping on, that's very easy to do. So now I think my room is a 12 by 12 width and length and a 3-meter high space. Next, let's start dividing this up. I'm going to hide my person. I don't really need him right now, but I want to start splitting this into quads so that we have our corners ready to go. I'm going to do this by going to my edge. I'm going to click on one edge, hold shift, double click the next edge, and it will select a ring of my edges all the way around. I'm then going to go into insert edge loop and insert an edge loop right down the middle. I'm going to go the other way then. I'm going to click on this one, double click the next one, and it'll do my loop all the way around and insert an edge loop. So now we have a pretty good distinction of where our 4 quads are. We could start to kind of model this in to maybe make it look a little bit better. It's pretty boring right now. I kind of want to do like that divided sort of look, maybe on the walls and the ceiling, separated with like a nice black line so that there's an easy distinction between them. Easiest way to do that, I'm going to double click. I'm sorry, let's see. Select one, hold shift, double click. Oh, no, that doesn't work. Let's see, what is it in this program? Oh, just double click on one line. Double click, hold shift, double click. Oop, that didn't work. We'll just select it all the way around. Like that. Then I'm going to bevel this. I'm going to go to the options though, so I can see what my options are. And let's see what 0.2 looks like. That might be enough. Let's hit bevel. That might be a little bit too big. I'm not quite, that's still a bit too big for me. So I'm going to undo that. Control Z. Let's set it to 0.1. And that looks a little bit closer to what I would want to work with. So let me exit out. And now I could start to do some extrudes. So I want to extrude, and I'm going to do this a little bit differently just so we can kind of play around with some of the tools and how to fix issues if they arise. I'm just going to select these lower polys like this. I'm then going to hold shift and I can pull down, but remember, I have that snap turned on. So I am going to, is going to snap to 1 meter. That's a little bit much. So I can come back up to my snap. Oops. And I'm going to drop this down to maybe a 0.1. Probably this to a 0.1 too. Hold shift. So 0.1 is 10 centimeters. So, that's enough for it to look kind of nice. It's really important when doing environments that we try to keep our numbers nice. We want things to be at clean numbers if we can help it. We want things to be, perfectly sized so they fit together well. If we have bad badly fitting geometry. It could introduce leaks into our stuff, which could make light leaks, make things not nearly as nice. It'll just look really sloppy. So it's a good idea to get into the habit of doing that now. All right. Let's start adding some color to this. So I want to assign these kind of like downward, like the impression part of it, to a black material. So I haven't created any materials yet. I'm going to just drop them all in my materials folder. I'm going to right click, create material. Always lose it on there. There it is. I'm going to call this one black. We are only, for this project, using solid colors. If you want to play with the metallic and smoothness sliders, that's fine. I don't mind. But we're not using any kind of imagery in our materials. So let me... There's a couple different ways that you can assign materials in here. Like we can't just drop things on here. You see how it's trying to do the whole thing. We do have to use a slightly different method for that to work. So when we want to do materials, we're going to go to the material editor. And we are going to, oops, oh no, I always do this. We are going to start telling it what materials we want on the palette. So I'm going to put black on Alt 2. So now if I come in, select these polys, I can just click black and it will assign. Should have, hold on. What's going on? Oh, I just clicked the wrong one. Sorry. What are you gonna do? You have to click Alt, this right here, to assign that. And we have our stuff assigned. What if we want to split these walls then? Split the ceiling? What if we actually wanted to make it so that instead of it being, you know, oops, sorry. The ceiling's closed off. We want to make this cross kind of be an opening in the ceiling, like a window. But maybe we need to expand it a little bit so it's a little bit wider. So let's go and select these. No, we'll do it this way. I'm going to change my mind. Let's do it this way. I'm going to select the, I'm going to select these. I'm then going to do on, let's see, where is that? I got to find the right tool. It is it's going to be an extrude, but we're going to use it a little bit different. So I'm going to click on the plus. No, wait, I'm sorry, I'm confused myself. We're not going to extrude, we're going to get the scale tool. Hold shift. I'm sorry, that's not working right either. Hold on, let me think. No, I was doing that correctly. I think I just have to do them one at a time. So I'm going to get the scale tool, hold shift and scale to inset a face. Oops. Hold shift, inset. I'll fix this in a second. I know it's not going to be even. That's one of the downsides of using Probuilder is sometimes it's a little bit inaccurate, but we can go ahead and fix that after the fact. So you can kind of see the pattern I have now. It's a little bit wonky, so let's go ahead and fix that. I'm going to get my edge. I'm going to go to my top and make sure I am on, I'm going to click it again to go to isometric. And I do have that snap turned on. So let me adjust this snap to be a little bit more coarse. Again, I'm going to set this to 0.5. I'm going to make sure this one's also set to 0.5. And I'm just going to grab this edge with my move tool and just kind of wiggle it and kind of snap it to the right, to like an even amount. I could just eyeball that this is going to be correct. So, you know, obviously not. Just kind of make sure that these are tweaked. There we go. I don't, let's do it. Okay, let's go back. Turn it back to that way. I can then grab these faces and let's do this. I'm actually going to extrude these ones downwards. Let's extrude it down. Oop, hold on. I do. I need to turn my snap back to something more reasonable. Oops, like a 0.1. Or extrude down because I just want it to be a little bit. And then I'm going to come in and, you know, the design of your stuff, you could do however you want. I'm just kind of showing you some extra stuff. As long as you have this 4-room with it kind of divided, whatever you do elsewhere is up to you. I'm just kind of showing you some stuff. Okay, I'm going to then do some cuts. Let me go back to the top. Get my edge select. Select this way. I'm going to insert an edge loop. I'm going to get my scale tool. Try to even that out some. Actually, I think I could just move it. I'm going to move it maybe about there. This one. Trying to get it to the same spot. There we go. I'm going to do it this way now. There. Another insert edge loop. And that looks about right. I think this one might be a little bit. There. Okay, that's even now. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these faces here. I'm going to extrude these upwards. Not quite so high, maybe about that. And I'm going to hit backspace to delete them, to create kind of like a window in the ceiling. So notice what the light is doing. This is kind of why I wanted to do something like this. The lighting looks a little bit weird right now. We are sort of getting strange shadows. It looks like it's trying to use this as sort of a window, but it's just kind of all blown out. The reason is because the way this stuff works is that this directional light is casting shadows, but since we inverted this cube, the walls are see-through because our objects are single-sided. So if we can see into an object like this, the light can cast through that. The way that we fix this is by creating sort of like a shell for our object. The top is going to be pretty easy. We could easily come into here and just kind of grab. I'm just going to select around this. Of course, it's not going to be nice. I'm just going to select all the way around. So you know what? I should just undo, and I had it selected. There we go. Oh, it didn't. Never mind. I'm confusing myself. I do still need to select it. I can do it this way, though. Let's do it. Drag select, hold control, the control, and then deselect just those. I'm going to then get my scale tool, hold shift, and start to scale outwards. Let me move this to adjust. And we can see that we are starting to get our shadow. So then grab this vertice, pull it out. If I go to that top view, this might be a little bit easier. We can see the shadow kind of instantly. We could pull this out. We could be sloppy with these. These don't have to be, you know, the idea is that the player would never actually see this shell. It's just there solely to block light. There we go. Then we just get our edge. Hold shift, pull down. And we have, oops, our blocked light. You can see this happening. This just is something that happens sometimes with real-time lights. Don't worry too much about it. It's not worth trying to fix that problem. It has to do with like edges and things, and you know, we're at a state I'm not too worried. If I see those, I know it's a unity thing. There, rotating it kind of fixed it. Fixed it well enough. It's a unity thing. It's not you did something wrong kind of a thing. So let me make one more material just to kind of show how to do that again. Right click, create material. Actually, you know, I usually do, once I create one of these, I usually just duplicate these. Control D and then rename it. Let's do like a blue. We'll do one more. We'll do like a brown. And let's be fun. We can make that blue more of like a metallic blue. Ooh, not so shiny. Let's take that down. Yeah, that looks good. Let's make this black matte. It looks better. And that brown's fine. So let's go to our material editor and assign these. Um, the other thing we could do is if you remember where this is at, so, you know, Alt 2, Alt 3. So if I just select these and hit Alt 3, the keyboard, it will assign those colors. And that could be a little bit faster. One thing I will show you, if you're getting kind of annoyed by this bluish tinge, if you go to Window, Rendering, and turn on the Lighting tab over here, that's controlled underneath the environment. You can just take the skybox off. Just change your skybox to none, and it'll turn your scene to black. That's kind of like a quick, easy way. The other way, if you want to play with it, is you could change your environment lighting or just take this intensity multiplier down. It's a slightly different method, but you still get like that real-time skybox from the top. But it's, you know, we're going to be covering lighting next week to go over more stuff. Okay, let me add a quick new shape. We'll do a sphere. Let's do a 1, 1, 1. Oh, why are you being weird? Hold on. It's not letting me edit. What am I doing wrong? Hold on. Sorry about that. The issue, for some reason, it was being weird about me creating it inside of there, but if I do it outside, it lets me create that. And I'm just going to assign the whole thing blue, so I'm going to just drag and drop that in. You could start, and this is where you would start to kind of build your rooms. I would recommend create some empties. With their transform set back to neutral, and use those kind of as folders to hold everything for that specific area. So we could start to, you know, make our little compositions. This is really annoying. Let me turn this off. Sorry. Nope, no, that's fine. We'll just leave it. If you get annoyed by this, the pivot being in the wrong spot, what I'm going to do is move this to the origin as close as I can. I'm then going to eyeball put this at the origin and hit freeze transformation, and it'll, you know, clear out everything in here, putting its position back at 0, scale and rotation. So it's kind of like a way you can sort of fix pivot points. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just putting some shapes in here just to kind of show you, make sure that you didn't like this kind of stuff. Feel free to also put in some light, like play around with lights. You can just use real-time lights if that's what you're comfortable with. So we have our, you know, some stuff going on. I'm then going to add a light, white light. Let's do it kind of a orangey. I know students really love to use spotlights. I rarely ever use spotlights. Only if I actually need to do something that is specifically a spotlight. Change the intensity up, but the range can go down. We could start to do some lighting. There we go. Let's hide those. And we're starting to get our scene put together. Hopefully this was helpful. Normally I do this in class, like I said, and take questions live of what things people want me to show. So hopefully I covered stuff that is helpful for you. Feel free to ask questions in the Teams channel throughout the week of things that you're unsure how to accomplish or what direction to go in.